Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. The Indians made some interesting moves today, picking up Corey-Kluber's $17 million option, not picking up Jason-Kipnis' option, nor Dan-Otero. They also thanked Yasiel Puig for his service, and they say they hope that Carlos-Carrasco will be a starter once again. You would think the Indians are overloaded with starting pitching, but this year proved you never have enough. They must still think the division is going to be pretty much the same next year as it was this year, and if the Indians can stay healthy, they should outlast Minnesota, and I think they're right. It's going to be a two-team race, and the AL Central will prove once again that good pitching beats good hitting. The D-man Dennis-Manoloff is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. The D-man, Dennis-Manoloff, is here, coming off another tough week, picking the winners, picking the hits. I gave you a suggestion.
I mean,
you want to tell people what it is?
Yeah, put down what I think's going to happen and pick the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm almost there. Or throwing darts, or at the wall, or flipping coins.
Well, thank goodness nobody is actually saying, "I wonder what the D-man took today." So
thanks, Les.
No, but they will.
No, you're right.
When you hit a hot streak.
That's why you have to say entertainment purposes only. I try to have fun with it, but I take it very seriously. Just ask my wife Denise. I'm in a terrible mood for hours and hours and hours after a bad week. So it's been a rough start to this.
And that's not like money's going to a bookie or whatever else.
That's my thing, Les. And this is serious. We know that sports gambling is going to be legalized in Ohio at some point.
Sure.
Okay? I say, be careful. For those who want to do it, be careful, because let me just say, it's not as easy as you think.
Right.
Anybody can pick games when they don't put their name to it.
Right.
Or they don't publish
their money.
it. Right. I'm in a case where I publish, but I don't put any money on it. But it's easy to do it when you watch a game take place and you go, "Oh, I had that game." "Oh, really? Where?" "Oh, in my head." "Oh, okay, got it." It's nowhere near as easy as people think, especially picking every single game.
216-575. Oh, you're right. If you pick 4 games, you hit 3 out of 4, you're a winner.
Yeah,
right?
I'm crazy for picking them all.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. Dennis Manoloff is with us. You hear him on 1100 WTAM, or is it the other way around? WTAM 1100.
TAM 1100.
Yeah.
Yep.
Having fun with it?
Yeah,
staying up late.
It's been wonderful, and shows have gone well, and listeners have been great. So I'm really appreciative.
Excellent. All right, so you heard, and we're going to talk about the Indians a little bit later, but I mentioned what they did today. They picked up the option on Corey-Kluber, $17 million. You surprised?
I wasn't originally, because I thought the option pickup was less, but that money is a little bit rich. But I also think it gives the Indians options.
They can still trade him.
Because you sign him and he pitches really well for a couple of months, and if you're in desperate need of a bat or two, you can send him on his way. Because I think potential suitors do want to see how Corey-Kluber looks in a major league game again. Correct. Before they invest.
All right. Jason-Kipnis' option was not picked up, neither was Dan-Otero's.
No surprise. Actually, I was shocked that they didn't bring Disco Dan-Otero back. We love Dan-Otero. I'm just kidding. But Kipnis, $2.5 million buyout. It made sense. Kipnis knew, that it was coming. And
do you think? First of all, there's probably nobody out there that'll pay him what he expects to be paid, right? He made what this year? What did he make? 13?
Yeah, it was up in the 13s.
Okay.
13, 14. But listen, Jason-Kipnis is realistic. Okay, he understands. He had a really nice deal with
Sure.
the Indians, and I don't think he expects to go out on the open market and fetch $10 million a year.
Do you think if they can't find another second baseman or third baseman, depending on what they do with Ramirez, do you think $5 or $6 million would bring him back?
Yeah, I mean, you could do worse than Jason-Kipnis on a one-year deal for $5 or $6 million, as you pointed out, if the landscape is bare enough. But remember, as we always say about free agency, all it takes is one. It just takes one out of the teams. Not 2, not 10, not 20, one. So if one team likes Kipnis as a veteran presence in a rebuild, I don't know, Detroit comes to mind.
It does, but...
Well, but I'm saying Detroit desperately needs to bring in some veterans to augment its young guys. You think about Chicago. Now, I know they have Lurie Garcia over there, but, I'm thinking of some rebuilds that need second baseman, and maybe Kipnis is a fit.
He's a Chicago kid?
Yeah, the White Sox would be, again, they'd have to move some pieces around. Here's the thing, though. I am going to disagree with your opening comment, respectfully, of course, because you are a legend. I respectfully disagree in that I am stubborn, and I do believe the White Sox will arrive finally. I've been
saying that for a while.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
They have disappointed me, but next year I think finally they get there, and the key is they are willing to spend. They wanted Machado last year. They had the money to spend on him. I think they're going to spend again this year. What would frighten me if I'm Cleveland is Anthony Rendon signing with the White Sox. Moncada moves to second base where he played 2 years ago, and all of a sudden the White Sox are a very formidable offense.
And you saw how they looked against the Indians in the last series in Chicago.
Won 11 of the 19 games in the season series. That's not the be-all, end-all. The White Sox still have a lot to prove, but they have a bunch of young pieces, and one of these days it's going to click for them, and they're going to augment with a couple of veterans to come in. So I think you're looking at a 3-team race next year.
All right, we're going to look at baseball, the Indians, a little bit later. Right now, let's take a look at the Browns. Christian-Kirksey is going to miss the rest of the season as he had surgery, a torn pectoral tendon, and that's how problematic is that?
I mean, it's sad for Kirksey. It's 2 years in a row now, and I really liked him when he first came. I think it was out of Iowa. He first came out of Iowa, and he looked good. And, it's just very, very sad. And what are they going to do with him in 2020? That's a big question.
This portion of the show brought to you by the Ohio Lottery. The Browns defense, nothing new to injuries. They've had them all. It's only 4 games in, but they've had them. However, the second string or bits and pieces have come in and stepped in and done really well. Let's take a look at what they've done. Secondary is getting it done now. This season, 215 passing yardage per game, 17th in the NFL. 3 of the team's 4 interceptions have come from the backup secondary, Carey and Burris, as well as Jermaine Whitehead. Whitehead also had a forced fumble, and Carey had a fumble recovery, so nothing wrong with that. I didn't seem to miss anybody that way.
Yeah, Les, and we have not spoken on this air since the Browns dismantled the Ravens 40-25. Actual score 40-18.
Sure.
The garbage time touchdown made it look closer than it was, and it still wasn't close. But hats off to the Browns, helmets off to the Browns. Excellent job going into Baltimore. I didn't expect them to do it. I thought they were too disjointed, too many issues to fix in 1 week. They look terrific across the board. And you mentioned the defense. 3/4 of the starting secondary is out because of injury. Nonetheless, they cause problems for Jackson and his crew.
I'm not so sure that when these guys get better, that they automatically go back into the starting lineup. I'm talking about Greedy. I'm talking about...
I wouldn't go that far, Les. I still think they're veterans. They're starters for a reason,
right,
even though they are young. Certainly Greedy and Denzel. But here's what I want to say, though. Thank you, Arizona Cardinals, for the gift of Steve Wilks. I very much appreciate, on behalf of Browns fans, that you were willing to move on from Steve Wilks after 1 year as Arizona's head coach. He's the DC now in Cleveland, and I love what I'm seeing from Wilks. And here's what I've noticed over the years about the NFL, and I'm not the only one. Coaching matters. Scheme matters. Maybe in some other sports, coaching is overrated or managing's overrated. Not in the NFL. If you put your team in positions to win with good schemes and good game plans, it goes a long way. Not to take away anything from the Whiteheads and the guys who substituted for the Browns. But what you saw Sunday is evidence of good coaching. When a Steve Wilks can take an undermanned unit, go in there and handle the hottest quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes in the league.
Let me ask you this, because we only see what the camera shows us on the away games. But when they show Wilks, have you ever seen an assistant coach seem so totally in control or totally knowing that he's got that covered? Seems that way.
I love the guy. I love him in so many ways because that's one of them, the demeanor. Nothing rattles him. Now, I'm sure he gets into his guys behind the scenes at Lou Groza Boulevard, maybe in the locker room at a game, but you want to project calm. I think a professional athlete, especially a youngster, wants to see the coaches under control.
Well, he gets it
they
that
don't
way
want to
with
see
Wilks.
them losing their minds with these bewildered looks in their faces. Wilks gives you that. He gives you that adult sense of calm, and he's running just tremendous schemes. And look what he did against the Rams.
Yeah.
He set the Browns up to win that game.
Absolutely. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis Manoloff, the D-man, with us. Did you know that there are over $6.25 million paid out by the Ohio Lottery pick games each and every week? With that amount of winning, stop by your local retailers, try your luck. Pick 3, pick 4, and pick 5. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content is posted each and every day. We'll get your name, sometimes your picture, and your comments right on the air on More Sports and Les Levine, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. When we get back, we'll take a look at Nick-Chubb, the running back, is named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This portion of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. His birthday's for today, October 2nd. Maury Wills, one of the great base stealers of all times with the Dodgers. Rich Stockbroker was born in 1947. Mark Rippon played with the Browns a little bit. Tyson Chandler, as well as Tyler Olson and Lance McCullers. Not one of the best days ever in the birthday department. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis Manoloff is with us. And we were talking off the air about what we saw starting the second quarter on Sunday.
Yeah, or even late first. I mean, I saw the return of Freddie-Kitchens, the Freddie-Kitchens that we all know and love, or we knew and loved from 2018.
Right. You're talking about play calling.
Yeah, the fun-loving Kitchens. Now, he was being serious on the sideline, don't get me wrong. But you just felt like the Freddie-Kitchens offense was back in play again after seeing 3 games of, sort of a mishmash.
So are you suggesting, no proof here, but are you suggesting that maybe the game plan is devised one way, the actuality of what they do is something else, and then Freddie took over?
I wonder. It just makes you wonder. But look, Todd Monken is a phenomenal offensive mind. No one disputes that. But he has
with the right quarterback.
Well, or maybe he thinks he can do phenomenal things with Mayfield. Here's the deal, though. In my opinion, I'm not sourcing this. I'm not at Lou Groza, but I wonder if Monken has a certain philosophy and a certain way he wants a game plan to go, and Freddie has one, and they don't quite dovetail, as was indicated by the report that we got in training camp, the national report, that maybe these two guys had not been able to synchronize. Not to say there's any animus, there's any anxiety or necessarily or angst, but two guys who are really bright can't quite get their philosophies to mesh. And I'm wondering if Freddie just said, you know what, Todd, you can do a lot of things for us leading up to game day or whatever, but I'm going to go with what got me here.
Okay,
I'm wondering if that might be
that's
the case.
all plausible, but don't you find it hard to believe that it would be left up to after the first quarter of Game 4? Don't you find it strange? If that in fact happened that way, don't you think that would have been set up beforehand as opposed to say, hey, give me that microphone and let me call the plays?
And I also realize it's awfully convenient for me to say, well, maybe Freddie took over now because the Browns had a great offensive game and won. All of a sudden, maybe that was Todd Monken's game right there that Freddie was calling.
All right, let me ask you
it turned
this.
into 40 points and a decisive win.
I
don't know.
Browns now 2-2, tied with Baltimore, although they have the edge right now. That's why everybody says
leaders in the AFC North.
There you go. It's not unlikely that they could lose 2 of the next 3 games and still be in good position.
Correct.
You got San Francisco, you've got Seattle, and you've got New England.
Yeah, speaking of games, of picking games, I've looked around the nation to see how the nation is reacting to the Ravens, and I'm seeing a lot of people, after what they saw from the Ravens against Cleveland and also Pittsburgh beating up on a terrible Bengals team,
right.
All of a sudden you see guys picking the Steelers over the Ravens this weekend, which was unheard of a week ago,
Sure.
right?
Sure. And all they did was beat the Cincinnati.
Well, yeah, not only that, right. It was more. I think it was more about
what the
Ravens not looking all that good and losing.
Where's that game?
Than it was about the Steelers pounding the Bengals.
Where's the Cincinnati Pittsburgh game?
The Ravens are going to Pittsburgh, and wait
a minute. If you're a Browns fan, who are you rooting for?
Well, I think because Roethlisberger's out, you've got to root for any team to beat the Ravens. You have to believe the Ravens are going to be your primary competition.
And other teams will take care of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, how can you realistically expect Mason Rudolph to carry the Steelers to the AFC North title? If he does, if Rudolph's part of an AFC North title in Pittsburgh, it'll be one of the great stories in Pittsburgh's lore, other than their Super Bowl titles, and it would cast aspersion on the Ravens and the Browns. You couldn't beat the Mason Rudolph Steelers?
That's a good point. Nick-Chubb had 165 yards on Sunday, 88 of them coming on one play. He was named the Offensive Player of the Week. Here you go. Last week number 4 at the Ravens, 20 carries, 165, 8.5 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns, and the 88-yard touchdown return. And how about that? All of a sudden, we're learning that you can check the mileage of these guys.
Well, yeah, and the miles per hour. And remember the Jets game? Wasn't it OBJ hitting 21 miles an hour? And this guy's hitting 22 as a running back who's thick
And not only that, think of that with the uniforms, the helmets, the
pads,
shoulder
the
pads,
helmets.
and all that stuff.
Oh, my goodness. He's so much fun to watch because he's not a one-trick pony. He's not one of those guys that can't run in traffic. He knocks into people and shakes them off.
Yeah.
He doesn't go down on the first hit. He can hit the hole in a blink. He has breakaway speed.
Right,
he
so
ran away from DBs on Sunday.
There was nobody, it seemed like, within 10 yards of him the entire route. Yeah. So here's the question. What can stop him is fatigue if he plays at that level every game. However, 4 games from now, he gets some help, maybe, and that's in Kareem Hunt. What do you do with these guys at that point? Because now you know that Chubb needs as many carries as he can get.
Yeah, nick-Chubb is not unlike a lot of the great backs. He needs his carries, and the more carries you give a guy like Chubb, the more chance you have of him popping one like the 88-yarder.
Sure.
Chubb's your number 1 back, and Kareem Hunt's got to know this. This is not even an issue, in my opinion.
Can you put him on the field at the same time?
Sure you can, and you can get creative with them. Now, if you put I know they like their 2 tight ends, and if you were going to go 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, all of a sudden you've only got 1 receiver out there. I could see, a 2 running back, 1 tight end, a 1-2 or 12 personnel with 2 wides. But it gives you more options, and I think there's not going to be an issue at all with Hunt integrating into the team because, number 1, he recognizes he's fortunate to be in the league at all. Right. Number 2,
he should.
I'm betting that he is, yeah. And number 2, he's got to say, okay, I have a chance to prove myself to a potentially another suitor, even if it's not the Browns going forward. Another team sees me for the remaining half of the year. What do they want to see? They want to see if I'm still explosive out there, which I know I will be, when given the opportunity, if it's 5 touches a game.
Can he take a hit?
Can he take a hit? But also there's the all-important component with Kareem Hunt, which is how is he going to react to not being the lead guy?
Yeah.
And if Kareem Hunt's on his best behavior and says all the right things, says all I want to do is win, that can resonate with a potential suitor down the road.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. Northeast Factory Direct has an extensive selection of high-quality semi-custom kitchen cabinets. You'll save 60 to 70% compared with the big box stores. No gimmicks, no deceiving blowout sales, no typical retail nonsense that you might have gotten over the years. If you want big-ticket items, you want to improve your home, and you want to pay half price of what most people pay, you've got to go to northeastfactorydirect.com or the 3 great locations, West 140th Street, West Side, the old B&B Appliance on Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and of course the new one, Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia. Check them out first at northeastfactorydirect.com. We'll come back in a moment. Northeast Factory is where you should go looking for those great items, but Northfield Park, the place to go for live and simulcast racing. And it's your home each and every day. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as well as Saturday and now Sunday evenings. And Monday through Wednesday, post time 6 p.m. Saturday through Sunday, post time 6:40. Open early every day for simulcast action all over the world. And it's a weekly Sunday contest featuring Belmont Racetrack. Top prize $500 cash each and every week. We'll come back in a moment. The D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, is with us. We'll preview Monday's game. It's not at Candlestick, it's at San Jose. And we'll be back to talk about that and more. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Winning enough for a new Saturday morning ritual. That feels like $1 million. Play the newest instance from the Ohio Lottery.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
This portion of More Sports and Les-Levine brought to you by Tri-C. Time for a How Come Quickie. D-Man, how come 2's company and 3's a crowd, but 4 and 5 is 9? Little kids love that one. 216-575-0403, San Francisco 49ers. Is it possible to say they're 3-0 but not very impressive doing it?
The Niners?
Yeah.
It is because the Steelers, without Roethlisberger, went to Santa Clara and almost beat them. I mean, they were up late, or they were up in the fourth, and the Niners wound up winning.
And the Niners did nothing for 3 quarters of the game.
And I want to say they survived 5 turnovers.
Yeah, that's right.
And still won. So, I mean, they would say we played bad football and still won. Look at how good we are.
Sure.
But here's the thing. This is where it's going to be tough for Cleveland. Not just because they're potentially overconfident and coming off the Ravens. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is you've got to go to the West Coast, which is
a day early.
Yeah, it's no picnic. You're playing Monday instead of, late Sunday. And you're playing an undefeated team in their building. It's
coming off a bye week.
Coming off a bye week. That's huge. I forgot that. So it's going to be a very difficult test for the Browns. I'll tell you this, though, Les. I don't think the Browns can get away with many more Odell-Beckham-Jr. 2 catches for 20-yard decoy performances.
Correct.
I lauded him for his decoy work against the Ravens, but that's not going to fly very much longer.
It's time to play football. All right,
He's got to go back to being what he is, which is a pass catcher, not a decoy.
Let's take a look at Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Let's see what he's done this season. There you see it, 58 for 84, 739 yards, 5 TDs, and 4 interceptions. And by the way, I'm beginning to think there's got to be a different way to rate or calculate interceptions. Baker-Mayfield threw an interception the other day. It clearly was not his fault, yet he's the one who gets tagged with it.
I agree. And I think there are places, there's so many websites now, so many analytics that I'm sure somewhere out there's adjusted interception percentage, or you factor in a receiver making
Hail
a mistake.
Mary at the end of the half.
Sure. And that's why I look at it on a case-by-case basis. And in my opinion, in my mind, the way I saw the game Sunday, Baker Mayfield did not throw a pick.
Well, that's how I feel exactly. All right, they've got a good tight end in George Kittle. Let's take a look at what he has done. 17 catches, 165 yards so far. 2018 set a single-season record. Most receiving yards by a tight end, 1,377, 7 career touchdowns in his first 3 seasons. So they use him in the middle of the field. They don't seem to use him near the goal line. But he's a threat. Now let's take a look at the running back situation. They do running back by committee. They've got a whole bunch of guys. Matt Breida, 41 carries so far this year, 226 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. There you see Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., as well as Tevin Coleman, who's missed the last 2 games with an ankle injury. So they can run a whole bunch of guys at you.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners are, versatile to a degree, but listen, I trust Steve Wilkes to keep this score manageable for his offense. I think Wilkes' defense will do enough that if the Browns play well offensively, they can win the game.
Let's take a look at the defense. They've got a top 10 defense so far early in the season. Points per game given up 18, and yards per game 283. And it continues on. They've caught the other teams with 7 turnovers, which is tied for 8th in the league. And right now, as I say, it's a top 10 defense, although they've only played 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy for Mayfield and the boys, but especially if Landry, with Landry's uncertainty, concussion protocol, I don't know if they've said anything to this point.
They haven't ruled anything yet.
But you're due for Antonio Callaway back for whatever he's worth, and we don't know yet.
No,
I mean, not only injury, but suspension. He comes off of those. Hollywood Higgins is close from what I've been reading, and I'm not sure if he'll be available for Monday night. But again, it starts with Beckham, and he's got to catch passes and gain yards. He can't just be a double team guy that.
Although he did well at it.
Well, yeah, I think I did say this. I gave him one of my game balls. A lot of game balls to give out Sunday to the Browns. One of them went to Mayfield, of course, but also Beckham, because the Ravens secondary, especially watching it the second time. You watch it in real time, you have a feel. Then the second time on DVR, you do the slow-mo, the replays. They were obsessed with Beckham. They were double teaming him every chance they got. And you think of one play out of a bunch of them. Ricky Seals-Jones, 59-yarder.
Yeah, wide open.
He's wide open down the seam. Why is he wide open? Because I believe it was Jefferson, the strong safety, who went down to double team. He went to double team Beckham on the right short pass route, and he ran right past, and Seals-Jones ran right past him, wide open.
All right, so if you're Baltimore, you're thrilled at how well you handled Beckham. They held him to virtually nothing, but it cost them the game to do that.
I think that's part of it. I do. I think the field opened up because they were so obsessed with Odell. It's not the only reason. They obviously didn't do a good job containing the run with Chubb. They didn't do enough against Mayfield. He was only sacked once. Mayfield did a nice job in what we're seeing was a flatter pocket, so that was good. But, I thought the Browns did a really nice job offensively overall.
You can explore your interests and find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future with Tri-C. They offer more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. Cuyahoga Community College. We'll come back in a moment. We're going to change seasons here. We're going to turn to basketball in a minute. Opening game coming up as far as the exhibition game coming up less than a week. John-Beilein talks about rookie development. We'll do that when we get back. Dennis-Manoloff with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Darius able to go?
He was almost there, as you know, at this time of the year, but he was, as you see, he did more today. And he was going to see how he felt afterward. We were going to see how he felt afterwards. But, you know, as I said yesterday, he got so much work in. Almost everything, not everything, but half stuff we're doing right now is for Jetty, Deli, Kevin, right, who came in last Wednesday and Thursday. And that's when we, Darius, then we gave Darius the weekend, Darius and all the freshmen the weekend off.
A lot of people talking about Darius, and obviously Dylan can't go right now. With Kevin, I feel like we haven't talked about Kevin Porter too much.
Yeah.
What are you liking about his attitude and the way that he's impacted things in practice?
His, particularly over the last couple of weeks when he's been with us almost since we started training camp. He's made great jumps right now in just his efficiency, his footwork, his shooting, everything. And because he's got great natural talent. And now we just got to let him soar with those strengths while we continue to make him a more efficient player.
With the shot, is it more mechanics that he needs to be working on?
Yeah. He's got the ball with the stripe on it out there. When he shoots it with good rotation, it has a much better chance of going in. But also his instincts to get 2 feet in the paint are good. And at the same time, if he gets off the ball more, he's got better chance of getting 2 feet in the paint.
How does the attention to the discipline and the efficiency help guys like Kevin and Darius kind of start to make that transition into the NBA?
Well, they have to learn, first of all, it's important. Many of the young players have probably been able to get by with talent and still win the game without a lot of discipline. They're so good, sometimes their team wins by 30, 20, all these things, and they don't really know what wins and loses games. And now as they get into college and now from here, they start to really realize, hey, that was really boring when coach taught it to me, but it's really important now. And so it takes time. Everybody will have a different learning curve, but it takes time for some more than others to sort of say, put some significance, put some just more importance to some simple things that, you know, are really easy to do, but in the middle of action, they're hard to do when you're thinking about something else.
D-Man, I like that hire, but do you think halfway through the season he's going to say, you know, it was a lot easier in Michigan? The game itself.
You know what? The cynic in me would say yes, but the more I listen to Beilein, though, especially Cavs Media Day, he's a realist. This guy's a realist. He's not trying to peddle snake oil. He actually told us, hey, don't measure us on wins. That's refreshing.
Yeah.
He understands the game. Understands the game, as in his opponents. He sees what his opponents have to offer. And he probably doesn't see a whole lot of victories on the landscape. And he realizes he's got a young team that is in the early stages of a rebuild. Of course, Dan Gilbert wouldn't want to hear that, but it's still relatively early in the rebuild when you're only the second year post-LeBron 2.0. So the good news is Beilein appears to have an understanding of the challenge that he faces, and what he's going to be looking for is the micro victories as opposed to the wins in the standings.
Why do you suppose he took the job? Just the challenge?
It certainly wasn't the money. I'm sure
no, money is the same. Money is a wash.
Yeah, I'm sure Michigan would have kicked in even more if they needed to. So it's not the cash. I think what it boiled down to for Beilein is he probably had an itch to coach in the NFL that he never really scratched. NBA, that he never really scratched. And here came an opportunity, and Gilbert came calling, or Altman, or whatever combination you want to believe. And it was, you know what? Let's take a shot at it. And Beilein knew he was going into a system or into an organization that wasn't expected to win right away. So he could do what he's best at, which is teaching the youngsters.
Right.
It's not like he was going into coach, the Lakers.
No, but
as opposed to, Frank Vogel, and you got to win now with veteran guys, and you've never coached in the NBA.
Don't you think, however, that because of the influx of young guys in the NFL, that's no longer the key factor here. In other words, the Krzyzewskis and all the other college coaches, aren't they deemed to be the cream of the crop in coaching, as opposed to some of the pro coaches, the pro head coaches?
Sure. So your point is that the great college head coach can translate into the NBA.
Yes.
Because of specifically because he's handling young kids out of the gate anyway. The Brad Stevens type. I do think, though, that Beilein is realistically, chronologically, at an age where he's never going to be viewed as an up-and-coming star in the NBA coaching ranks.
And he better get it done here because he's not going to have another place to do it.
True, but I think that gives him a certain level of comfort in that he knows where he is age-wise, and he's not going to be given forever to get this team looking good, and nor would he want that as his latitude.
He's saying don't look at the wins, but let's look at the wins anyway. What would you place as the over and under?
I mean, what were they last year? 19-63 when they came out. Remember training camp? We're going to compete for the 8th spot. I was like, really? And they could claim some injuries. The Love. I'm still not a Love believer. Sorry. I guess I'll have to apologize.
Doesn't Beilein need him though to lean on him a little bit?
Well, I mean, yeah. If you're going to keep him, you need him on the court, and he needs to be good. He needs to be the all-star caliber Kevin Love that you expect him to be. There are pieces on this team, intriguing pieces. Jordan Clarkson is a guy that you might not be here the rest of the year, but while he's here, you figure he's going to do what he does.
You still got Tristan who can get rebounds for you.
You got Thompson who can do some dirty work. Love has all-star on his resume. I like Larry Nance Jr.'s potential. And of course, you have the mighty mites in the backcourt, the 6'2" guards in Sexton and Garland now. So you have intriguing pieces. You have reasons to watch. But as far as the victories, I mean, I'm looking at the East, and I'm not seeing many easy victories. Maybe against Charlotte. Charlotte's a terrible team now that Kemba's gone. Who else is trash in the East? I really don't see that many teams that are much worse than Cleveland. Cleveland was 19-63 last year. I don't see why it's any better this year.
By the way, last week we talked about it, but you didn't get a chance to say it. I know you wanted to talk about the new broadcasting situation, and you had a friend who got the call.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I don't think you had a chance to say it last week.
My longtime friend, Tim Alcorn, and by the way, Tim Alcorn has a lot of friends. I'm just one of them. But Tim Alcorn is a phenomenal guy and, oh, by the way, a phenomenal sportscaster, specifically play-by-play guy. He gets the job. He got the job, earned the job as Cavs radio play-by-play voice. When, Fred McLeod passed, John Michael was put into Fred McLeod's spot, or earned it. I'm not going to take anything away from J. Mike, but J. Mike becomes the TV guy alongside AC, which opens up the radio, and the Cavaliers decide to hire Tim Alcorn, and to me, it's a grand slam hire. He deserves it. Nobody's worked harder at his craft. Maybe some have worked as hard. Nobody's worked harder. He's really good. He's got pipes from God, and he preps like no man. You hear people say, because he's coming basically from the high school in the amateur ranks.
Right.
You hear people say, wow, that kind of a jump, he's going to have to put in so much work, more work. No, he won't. Not Tim Alcorn. I've seen this guy prepare for a high school softball game. It's insanity. So he's going to work just as hard as he ever has, but it's not going to be anything like, oh my gosh, look at all this extra work I have to do now that I'm the NBA play-by-play guy.
Well, here's the other thing. When I started doing play-by-play 100 years ago, you had to do everything yourself, your own stats, your own scoring, everything. That's the school he comes from.
Yeah.
So now to look up and see a computer screen giving you everything will be too easy for him.
I mean, you had to pour your own drinks if you're Tim Alcorn. Now they're going to be handing them to you.
Will he reach in his pocket and pay?
Well, that's just it. He probably will, and they'll say, no, it's on us. It's on the house. But here's the other part that's great for Tim. And no surprise that this guy is his mentor. Joe Tate.
Sure.
The fact that Joe Tate is your mentor and you are going to be the play-by-play voice of the Cavs, I'd say that puts you in a pretty good spot.
Well, not only that, it's the old story that you don't want to be the guy that follows Joe Tate. You want to be the guy that follows Joe Tate.
Yes. And listen, J. Mike did a very nice job. And by the way, Tim Alcorn will be doing it with Jim Chones, as J. Mike did. But Tim is such a good guy that he'll be able to adapt and adjust. And the listeners of Cavs games will love his calls. They'll love his pipes, and it'll be fun.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Northeast Factory Direct. 3 great locations, bare-bone warehouses. That's all they are. They're filled with some of the same stuff you're going to find at a number of stores. One significant difference, you're going to pay, well, half price or even more taken off. The bottom line is nobody is going to touch the everyday savings or quality that you're going to get from Northeast Factory Direct, with 3 locations plus the website northeastfactorydirect.com, West 140th Street in Cleveland, the old B&B Appliance building that's in Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and Freeway Drive in Macedonia. Check them out first before you go anywhere at northeastfactorydirect.com. Sokolowski's University Inn. E-Man, you're not going to believe it. 3 different people saw me today and said, hey, it's Sokolowski's Day. No, that's tomorrow, Thursday. Been doing it forever on Thursday. So if you want to join me, I'll be there about 1:15. Sokolowski's University Inn, Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant. They're open 11 to 3, Monday through Friday for lunch, and then Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. October 2nd, 1932, D-Man, the Yankees win their 12th straight World Series game and sweep the Cubs. That series included the called shot by the Babe against Charlie Root. And I've always said if I could go back and see one thing in sports history, that would be it. Whether he pointed or not.
Did he point? Yeah.
You believe he did? You want to, don't you?
You see the grainy film. And,
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to tell, but given that it was the Babe, I would side on the points part of it.
I would agree with that. Let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine history. October 2nd, 1964, Les received 7 letters in high school. Most of them were from the principal. Must have done something wrong, right? 7 times? What could I have done? Facebook question of the day. We asked you today, what do you do on Sundays when the Browns play on Monday night? I don't know. There's not enough information on that. Sample size is too small. Rick May says, I watch games of our upcoming opponents. This week I'll be watching the Seahawks game, and with the key finding a way to contain Russell Wilson. Rick must be a coach. Gerard Morelli. Too soon to tell. There's only been one Monday Night Football game since the first time in forever. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right, let's take a look at the Indians. They had their press conference, end of the season press conference. Here's what they did on the updates. Exercised Kluber's $17 million option for 2020. Declined options on Kipnis and Otero. Bullpen coach Scott Atchison was let go after 2 seasons with the team. Antonetti said that Francisco Lindor will not be traded in this offseason unless they get overwhelmed, and I don't suspect they will.
Yeah, I believe him. Listen, why would a team that is budget conscious, mid-sized budget, why would it want to trade a guy that you have for 2 more years? Now, I get the last year part of it, but 2 years out.
Well, last year you can still get something.
You can still get, but the point is he's an affordable star player.
Right. Who can still help you win the division.
Yeah, why not go to battle with him next year? I've never understood people who say trade him 2 years out.
Not a player of that caliber.
At the same time, I don't see him remaining here for the remainder of his career. That's no shock. The Kluber thing, as we said, understandable if you want to, it could be a little bit of a reward to Kluber. Say, you know what, you were underpaid for what you gave us the past 4 years. We're going to make sure you're paid this year.
But with a lovely parting gift.
Yeah, but more of it is you'd rather have Kluber than not heading into 2020 and keep your options open.
Right. So you got Kluber. They're talking about Carrasco being a starter, which kind of surprised me a little bit.
I disagree with that. They know their personnel better than I do. I just don't see it. I don't see why. To me, it's much more difficult for Carrasco to be a starter than a reliever, given that he's dealing with leukemia. Obviously, I must not know what I'm talking about in this case.
I agree with you.
I have to defer to the Indians.
Or they're saying it because that's what he wants to hear at this point, and who knows what they'll do when the time comes.
I'd love to have him in the back end of a bullpen. Yeah. I really would.
All right, so you have those 2 guys. You have Clevenger, and then you have the young kids who came through. Does that sound like a couple of those guys that they relied on this year? They'll go back to Columbus.
Well, I don't lump Bieber in with that. Bieber is a stud with Clevenger. Yeah. So, assuming you keep everybody and you don't move Kluber in the offseason, which I doubt they will, you've got Kluber, Bieber, and Clevenger in any combination at the top of your rotation. And then I think you allow the likes of Plesac, Savali, Jeffrey Rodriguez, Pletko. You let them battle it out for 4 and 5. But the one place I don't think you need to be in the market for is a starting pitcher. And that's good news because, to me, the Indians are in the market for at least 1, hopefully 2 bats. Your corner outfielder, as Puig moves on, and you're either your second or third baseman, depending on what Ramirez wants to do.
You think Reyes can be an outfielder?
I don't think that's how they view him. I think they view him as a full-time DH. They see him as their version of David Ortiz. Just don't even worry about playing the field. You play DH. That's your full-time position. And they think, and I happen to agree, if he settles in at DH, he's a 50-home-run guy for their team.
Wow. All right,
That's not a stretch.
No, it's not. We do this show from 6 until 7, Monday through Friday, and then, of course, you can archive us all day long. But if you want to leave us a message, you can do that also. Calling us at the voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Call any time of the day and leave a message, and we'll put the better messages on a future show. 216-575-0403 is our number if you want to get in before the end of the show. Northfield Park, they've got the $125,000 Courageous Lady Stakes coming up Saturday, October 12th. That's a week from Saturday. They've got the $75,000 Ohio Sire Stakes Championship for veteran trotters. And you can catch the excitement of live harness racing, and you can do that every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, post time 6 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday at 6:40, but it's open early every day for simulcast action all over the world at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. When we come back, we'll check out some How Come Quickies and some other comments. Dennis-manoloff with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get NatureStone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Dan Lobby of cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, he's the one on the left. He'll join us tomorrow. We'll talk some Browns football. You see us live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content is posted each and every day. Dennis-Manoloff is with us from WTAM 1100. When are you on the rest of this week?
Tomorrow and Friday, full shows. And
what
can't
time
wait.
to what time?
I think tomorrow is 7 to 11. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Or 8 to 12. It's in that neighborhood. But because there is a podcast show they have to get in with the Cavs HQ too. But 2 full shows, Thursday and Friday.
Very good. All right, I'll be on 92.3 The Fan. I'll be on Friday in for Jeff Phelps, and on Monday in for Jeff Phelps also on 92.3 The Fan. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Chuck, who's in Masery, Ohio. Chuck, good evening. Haven't heard from you in a while. How are you?
Good, boss. How about you?
Good.
Hey, I just want to say, isn't it tough to be an Indians fan? The year of the juice ball, we had no juice this year. And every other team in the American League seemed to have a lot of juice, and we had none.
What would you rather? What team would you rather?
We let all our juice slip away, and all of a sudden the ball is juiced up, and we have no one to take advantage of the juice ball.
All right, if you couldn't root for the Indians, what team would you think you'd root for?
In the American League?
Anywhere.
Well, I live between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, so I'm also a Pirate fan, but the Indians are number one. But last night, you and Bud kind of poo-pooed an emailer that brought up the games in April is just as important as the games in September. I'm going to give you a number, Les, and I want you to figure out what that is.
Hold on one second, Chuck. Let me tell D-Man what I'm talking about. I said, in April and May, they always say it's no big deal, winning games, losing games. That's baloney. You got to win games whenever you can. It's one less game you have to win in September.
I agree.
Okay, go ahead, Chuck.
The caller brought up a couple of people that played shortstop while Lindor was out. 174 less was the combined average of Eric Steinmetz and Max Moroff while Lindor was out. That's combined average. They had 6 total hits basically for the month, and that's not even including Brad Miller, who at least hit 250, but 6 hits for your shortstop for the month doesn't make it.
And didn't Brad Miller say that when they dropped Brad Miller, didn't he say this team doesn't want good players?
Well, and again, Les, he ended up having a pretty good year as a left fielder for the Phillies, even though Mike Freeman ended up adequately filling that role. Right. He did a great job, actually, as a left-handed infielder. But the caller brought up Jose Iglesias, and Mr. Shaw kind of poo-pooed that because he said, why would the Indians go out and sign a shortstop when they knew Lindor was coming back? But hopefully I'm not speaking for Devin from Concord, but Mr. Kippy, I could have used Jose Iglesias' bat at second base once Lindor came back because Mr. Kippy had an awful first half.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, Chuck, we got to move along. Thanks so much.
All right, Les.
Great to talk to you. Let's check out some How Come Quickie sent in. Mr. Gullible sent in his 2 per night. Let's check it out. How come, you'll have to explain this to me. How come I thought my neighbor was a good guy until he went and put a password on his Wi-Fi? Am I supposed to know what that means? No? Yes?
Okay. All right.
You'll
so
tell
he's
me
not
after.
letting you in without a password?
Yeah. How come bathing suits don't shrink in water but in the closets in which they're stored all winter? That's a good point. Somebody comes in like December and shrinks the bathing suits. I agree with that. John Patrick. Lesson Dennis. How come when I asked the librarian where the self-help books were, she said, if I told you, that would defeat the purpose?
That's good. Tremendous.
Excellent.
That's very
Bud
good.
gave him a 9.9 last night.
For that one?
No.
Oh, that was good.
He had a beauty. He had, how come if I won $1,000 and gave a quarter of it back, I'd still have $999.75? Pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
It's as close to a 10 as one can get. Do you have a final comment for us?
Disappointment for the Indians. 93-69. You don't make the playoffs. It's unfortunate. There are a lot of reasons, but I'm not buying that they ran out of gas the final week of the year. That's an excuse.
Backtrack it 1 week from tonight. What happened?
1 week from tonight.
As far as the Indians.
Right. They were coming off that big victory in Chicago and then lost 5 in a row. 3 that meant something. They just got beat, and they got beat against nondescript pitching for the most part.
Yeah, they do 12-0 in the first game against Chicago?
It was 11-0, and then you lose 8-2, 8-0, or 8-3, 8-0, 8-2.
Yeah.
Those were the 3 that eliminated you. 2 against the White Sox, 1 against the Nationals.
Pretty ugly. All right, we got to go. Thanks to the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff from 1100 WTAM. We'll see you tomorrow night. Dan Lobby will join us. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.